Michael Sandel seems to be more suspicious than you are about the use of business incentives in society. What is he missing?
Well, first of all, that was fascinating, Michael. Thank you. It's clear that you've tapped into a reservoir of concern about markets and suspicion about markets and suspicion about business. Remember, that's where I started. You know, business is the problem here. But I think you had a very powerful insight, and that has to do with sort of material goods versus other aspects of human life. And I think, ironically, in things like providing food security and reducing energy and providing excellent low-cost health care for all, I think the very problem we have is we haven't tapped into markets enough. We've used the kind of more NGO government model. Now I think you're raising, an equally bad mistake, which is to kind of take market and incentive thinking into areas really where it doesn't belong, that have to do with public life. So I've learned a lot, and I think but I think we should recognize that these two points of view are not incompatible.
Do you agree with that? They're not incompatible? And do you have a question for Michael?
Well, I don't see any necessary disagreement. My argument is not against markets. It's an argument in favor of keeping markets in their place. And that is increasingly difficult to do today, especially when we've lost the ability in our public discourse to reason together about big ethical questions, including how to value goods and social practices like healthcare, family life, education, civic sacrifice. And that's what enables, I think, markets to reach into every aspect of life. So as long as we remember that markets are tools to serve broader social purposes, markets are very powerful and useful instruments. I'm not against markets, but I think we need to figure out how to keep them in their place, and that means we have to figure out what is their proper place. And that requires a bigger public debate than the one to which we've become accustomed.
Michael, here's the question I had for you listening to you. You meet big CEOs all the time. What do you say to someone who kind of looks at their company and they say, you know, you're right, my company is not perfect socially. There are some things, you know, that maybe cause some damage, but my moral obligation as a CEO is to my shareholders. What do you say to him?
Well, what I say may be very surprising to many of you, but what I say is, look, if you really care about your shareholders, you have to tackle the biggest needs in society. You have to solve the most important problems in your field. That's what's going to drive innovation and growth for your business. You know, the drug industry failed because they only targeted 600 million wealthy people. And they had no business model to serve the other 6 billion people. Shame on them. It was bad for their shareholders because they've shrunk their market and limited their opportunity. So what's happening in business, and I tried to get this across, is there's an awakening that we've looked at needs too narrowly, we've looked at opportunities too narrowly, we've gotten sucked into kind of the traditional view that there was something incompatible between social things and economic things. And the power of the market, meeting needs, which is what it does the best, has been stunted. And now there's an awakening going on, and my job, and what I spend every waking hour I can do doing, is trying to encourage and help businesses understand this opportunity and bring all these examples to them about the transformation that can happen. Imagine, Cisco has trained more people in IT than any NGO could imagine because they have the scalability.
Okay.
So we've got to take advantage of that.
What's your,
I think I see some potential common ground, Michael.
Luckily, we both have tenure.
If you can find a way to use market mechanisms to get the pharmaceutical companies to spend more on curing malaria and tropical diseases and less on advertising for Viagra, I'm all for it, and we can join together.
Well, you know, It seems to me, you could maybe bring him along to some of these board meetings you have. And don't you think that would be an interesting conversation?
I think it would, but let me say...
Would you go?
Yes, yes.
The greatest expansion in healthcare to the developing world now is starting to take place because companies are finding less expensive products, new distribution channels to get these products to rural villages, new ways of educating doctors and providing knowledge to patients about how to care for themselves. And so again, I think it's a question of where are the boundaries of market activity, what sphere should we take it in, and I think if we can tap the capacity and scalability and efficiency of business to scale solutions to these fundamental problems and see those solutions more broadly and see the opportunity bigger, I think we're going to be much more likely to actually solve these problems rather than just bemoan them year after year.
Okay, so this is a really important conversation. Personally, I'm all for the Michael v. Michael Marketplace Enlightenment Roadshow happening. If that's possible, I'd support it. Thank you both.
Thanks, Michael. It's a pleasure.